Hello and welcome to the Drummergy Podcast, the show about life and music that happens every Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. I wanted to see how much I could actually say before I started laughing. I think I made it about 8 seconds, which I guess if you were in the rodeo, that would be a good thing, right? 8 seconds would be a good thing in the rodeo. I might be wrong, but I'm not a rodeo kind of person, typically speaking. I've played music at several rodeos, but yeah, I'll just stop there with the rodeo talk. Today is episode 125. Now, I know I said last week was episode 125. I was mistaken, okay? I wrote it down wrong, and so today is 125. Today's topic is going to be about burnout or avoiding burnout, how you can avoid being burnout and just run down. So we'll get to that here in a moment, but it is National Teacher Appreciation Day, which seems like that comes around once a month. But Google said that today is National Teacher Appreciation Day. Man, there's lots of stuff happening. We just got into May, and Mary and I were looking at the calendar last night and just realizing, wow, we've got a lot of stuff happening and a lot of different directions that we're going. So how do we get through? Sometimes it's just like we're just hanging on to make it through. Our son Jude just finished taking tennis lessons through his school. Mary says it's been Teacher Appreciation Week. Okay, I'm good with that. I don't say this so that my students who may be watching will show up today with gifts. Although there's always a mom or two that are within the mix that they know about these things, and they'll bring me like a Starbucks gift card or something of that nature, and it's always a nice little something to get. Through elementary school for our kids, Mary was always really good about gift giving with the teachers and appreciating them because they are working to educate our children. And sometimes your teachers can really mean a lot to you and your life. So National Teacher Appreciation Day. Check this out. Those who are only listening won't see, but the producer and her friend Karen got me these Drummergy coffee mugs, and those are pretty stylish, eh? Very, very cool. Our friend Karen, she knows how to sniff out places where you can get this done locally. Pretty awesome. And speaking of appreciating people, Mother's Day is going to be on Sunday, and so for all you out there with your moms, make sure you do something nice. But Casio Dreams, the band the producer sings in, is playing at St. Chappelle Winery on Sunday for Mother's Day. I'm pretty sure this is the case. I think this is their third year doing that on Mother's Day. And there's a lot of people. You can get wine and beer and food and enjoy music and dancing and all of that kind of stuff. So I'll be there with the boys supporting Mrs. F and the band. Cool stuff going on. I real quick, this coming Friday, some of this information becomes irrelevant once the dates, but if you're hearing this and you want to check out these bands at any time, that would be very cool. My band Midline is playing this Friday night at the Knitting Factory in downtown Boise with 3 other local bands. Ghost Box, Dissonance, and Basement, and we're in the mix in there too. It's been a long time since we played a show. I broke my leg last August, and it's been a long recovery. And so Midline hasn't done much. Mary says this will be the 4th year for them to play Mother's Day out there. Wow. 4 years. Where does the time go? So yeah, Midline's playing, and then we've got a new song in the works. It's pretty well framed out. Just need to like clean up some details in it, and Anthony's refining his vocals on that. And that'll be our next goal, is to get that song recorded, do a music video and a release and all of that fun stuff. And then also a few days ago, Gary Tackett, who will be a guest on my show next week, Mr. Gary Tackett. I think that he's a transplant from Nashville, but he's like this amazing guitar player, the guitar player to the stars. He's played with a ton of different A-list bands and toured, and sometimes was the tour manager. And so we'll get into that next week. But he has a Eric Clapton tribute band called Crossroads. And I think, I might be mistaken, I think it's a fairly new project. And he asked me to be involved with the show that's coming up in just under 2 weeks up in Haley, Idaho at the Liberty Theater, doing a Eric Clapton tribute called Crossroads. So I think I've got like 15 songs to learn, most of which I'm familiar with but have never played. So I just want to hit a home run. So I'm doing my homework because we get 2 rehearsals and then it's showtime. Yeah, so that's the latest and greatest and what's happening with music at the moment. So I've been burnout. We talked about this a little bit last week when Connor Hensley was here, the drummer for Town of Trees. And Connor and his band are on this plan to release a new song every 6 weeks. And they do a lot of work to prepare to make that happening. Their marketing is doing really well and things like that. So that had me thinking about just the amount of time and dedication it takes to make those things happen, and all the little details that are involved along the way, and who's responsible for what, and what is or isn't getting done. And it just feels like it never stops. And so I got to thinking, because I do a lot of that same stuff. You know, I'm always working on something. I'm always go. It does get tiring, and it does feel like I just need a break, or you don't get a break and you start feeling worn down and burnt out. And so I had that on my mind. And then in addition to that, I got this message from Facebook. Oh, it's been a while now. I got an email. I'd just be guessing on when it came out, but in essence, it says that by June 28th, I think is the deadline, that every live video that you've done on your Facebook page that is 30 days or older will be automatically deleted. Well, this Drummergy show used to be called Coffee with Fred. We did a name change going into this new year, working our plan. And I wanted to get all of those old shows downloaded, edited, and reload them up to YouTube. Well, guess what? There's 106 of them. Good morning, Mark Grubert. Dude, I haven't seen you in a long, long time. And I think the last time I saw you in person was August 5th of last year. Dude. It seems like that's a crime. That's a crime. I think that was the last time I've seen you and played with you. Be nice to change that. I know you're like crazy busy as well. So at any rate, I had 106 videos to download and edit and reload those up to YouTube with artwork for the thumbnails, and it just seemed like this daunting task. And so I've downloaded, over all of this time, I've downloaded 60 videos so far. So I've got 46 more to go, and I've edited and uploaded like 35 of them, which takes a long time to go back and listen to these and edit and do those kind of things. And it's just like on and on. It's like, man, it doesn't seem like it's ever going to end. And I found myself a couple different times asking, like, is it really worth it reloading all of these old episodes? But I found some little nuggets in there, and one is that I had been asking frequently if there was anything that you folks wanted me to talk about, to put it in the comments. And I thought I was really diligent about keeping on top of that. Well, there was a handful of times different people said, can you talk about burnout? And that was something I had not written down. I had missed it somehow. So I thought, oh, that's what I'm going to talk about today. So if you are watching and on the live on Facebook or YouTube, I really want to get you guys involved if possible. I'll try to keep up with comments, like what your experiences are with being burnt out, and regardless of what it is that you're working on. But I have some thoughts that I wrote down here. Excuse me. This allergy season has been going on too long. That's what's too long. Allergy season. I'm burnt out on allergy season. What say you? I have a nasally sounding voice to begin with, and then when I have the allergens on top of it, in my head I sound like I should be some kind of like Muppets character. So what is burnout and how can you avoid it? So I have some notes. I'll start going through those notes here, and you people can weigh in if you would like. I love the interaction. First, more coffee. So I try to bust this up into two different categories. Like, one seems kind of disappointing, and the other one is more exciting because there's results that you're after. So burnout, and what is it, and can you avoid it? Doing work but not progressing or forward movement. So you're doing all this work constantly, busy work. It's consuming a lot of your time, but you don't ever really see a change happening. Like, you're working, but it's like just spinning your wheels. You're not, the wheels are moving, but there's no ground movement underneath you, versus doing work with a purpose, or I can't even read my own handwriting. Doing work with a purpose, with a goal towards an outcome. So you're doing all of these things because you have this goal that you're trying to meet, or a deadline that you're trying to meet, which, leads to the next thing that you're doing. It's like you can see progress happening. Last weekend, speaking of progress happening, so my dad wrecked on his bicycle a couple weeks ago now, and I think we're crawling up on 3 weeks ago. But he busted up his left hand and like scraped a bunch of skin off the top of his hands and hurt his leg really bad. And I don't know if he bit his lip in the crash or something, but had a little thing on his nose and his lip. And he was all bandaged up, looked like he was wearing mittens. He couldn't use his left hand hardly at all, and barely his right. So I've been trying to go out there and help him on the farm. I call it a farm, but it's just a big acreage at this point. Horses and cows are gone, but he mows the pasture a handful of times throughout the year. So I went out there to help him mow the pasture, and it's 5 acres on a riding lawnmower. So and he had already mowed, like, I don't know, close to a third of it, I would say, which still there was a lot left. And I got out there and I started mowing, and I made a couple passes, and it just felt like this is going to take forever. It took so long to see any results of my work. probably because I was so narrow and I couldn't get far enough away to really see what was happening. And well, my dad has 2 mowers, and he felt well enough that he got on the second one. And once he started helping, I saw that progress. I could see stuff was happening quicker. And so that was encouraging, because I thought, man, I'm going to be here till 6:00 tonight. So I was on the mower for 2.5 hours, and had he not helped, so that would have added up to 5 hours of mowing. So, yeah, just like you're working, but not seeing a lot of progress. Let's see. James Harrison always has good stuff. Let's put James's comment up here. James says, I think burnout becomes normal for anyone where something in their life becomes more of a task than a joy. Yeah, I think that's a 100% accurate description there, James. I too agree. Like, it seems like no matter what we do, at some point you feel like just exhausted and just like, man, I got to get away from. Hang on, sorry, I'm messing this up. Mike Beard saw AC/DC on April 18th. They were old but rocking. Yeah, I'm not. They're still out there doing it. So those who can't see me just listening, I'm wearing an AC/DC Back in Black t-shirt, which was a gift from a student for Christmas. So I've got this one. I've got a Metallica one and a Guns N' Roses one. Gary Tackett is here. He said, agreed, James. About 10 years, I take a break. Gary, I was just talking about the Crossroads Band and the show coming up. So the Crossroads Eric Clapton show I was telling you folks about, Gary Tackett's here. If you see him in the comments, go follow Gary's page and you can get more info. Or Gary, you can put the link to the show in the comments if you'd like. That would be cool. Yeah, so burnout. One I think is a grind. That's a word that gets used a lot that I've noticed lately is, oh, I'm just grinding. How are you doing? Oh, I'm just grinding. I'm grinding. I don't think it. I think it seems like grind seems like it's negative. Excuse me. The grind is negative. Now I'm being bothered by text messages. Who's getting text messages from these scammy things that has some suspicious name at iCloud.com about there's a problem with your UPS package or this one's the United States Postal Service package. Yeah, I have to delete you. Delete and block. So grind has like this negative sound to it. Grinding. Well, what are you doing? I'm just grinding. I'm grinding. I'm one of those guys who knows how to do a lot of things. And I've grinded before, sharpening metal or trying to make metal smooth, and it's a process, right? You got to get through all the rough stuff to make it to where it's smooth and usable. Blue Flashes is here. Good morning. Oh, thanks. I like the shirt too. So I'm going to put, like I said, I've got 2 different columns, one for burnout and one that's goal oriented. So you've heard that whole thing. Gary put the link in for the show. Thanks, Gary. The show on May 17th in Haley, Idaho, the Liberty Theater, Crossroads, Eric Clapton tribute show. So working harder versus working smarter. That phrase gets used a lot too, where somebody's just working, and then they're not seeing any results of their labors. So then they double down on that. Well, it's not working, so I'm going to do more intensely the stuff that's not working. And I've been plenty guilty of that myself. Well, it's not working, so let's just do more of it more intensely. No. Working smarter. Okay, so the one thing is not doing what it's supposed to. You need to discover why that is and change your focus, or actually have a focus so that you can be smarter about what you're doing. And typically you're working more efficiently, not so hard. And so things tend to roll a little bit smoother. So I think that's like, for me, that's where I try to take the grind out of the equation. I don't want to feel like I'm always grinding away at what I have to do. Sometimes I feel like house chores are a grind. It's like the house chores never, ever seem to end. A couple months ago, I think it was just as we were kind of leaving winter into spring. So probably end of February, I guess. I made this chores list. But it was just like I sat the family down and I said, okay, instead of like this getting a panic mode of having to clean the house really quick because we have an event happening and people coming over, like, can we, instead of wasting entire Saturday intensely trying to get stuff done, what if we just always did something throughout the week? Now, this lasted about 6-7 weeks, maybe longer. And we've gotten a little lazy with that approach, and so then the house reflects that. So now it feels like we're gonna have to do all this work again really intensely to get back to a level that we can maintain, right? So I feel, to me, that feels like a grind. It's like, it's just like that thing I have to do. Sometimes I feel that way about mowing the lawn. But I want to mow the lawn efficiently so it doesn't take me all Saturday afternoon. Now I have a very small lawn, so it's not a big deal. So working harder versus working smarter. One thing that I notice is there are people out there who just constantly go out of their way to serve others, and they don't take care of themselves. They put themselves on hold. The producers here, she says, and then you got burned out from assigning chores and it's messy again. Yep, guilty as charged. So yeah, we just got to get back into refocusing that. And when that's happening, it just like cleaning up just didn't take very long. Our one son, Elliot, if you ask him to do something, he just does it. He just doesn't, gets it over with. He doesn't, if he complains about it, it's not horribly noticeable, versus the others will act like you just ask them to move 10,000 pounds of rocks or something. Okay, so what was it? Oh, yeah. So there are those people that just want to take care of others, or there's another thing that comes along and interrupts the flow of what your goal is. And so then you give that attention, And then when you stand back and realize how exhausted you are, you could be exhausted mentally, which can also make you exhausted physically, or vice versa, and run down. And one thing that I learned over the last few years, my buddy Matt Starr had said this in a lot of the videos he does, is, when you're riding on an airplane, when they do the little safety check, they say, put your oxygen mask on first and then assist others. Because if you don't take care of yourself first, then you're useless to others. And so, like, from a literal standpoint, if you have no oxygen and you pass out, then you can't be of service in an emergency situation. So just applying that to like your daily life is like, take care of yourself first, make sure that you're okay. So then that way you're equipped to be able to help other people. Like, make sure you carve out time for yourself. I have this discussion with my students a lot, especially the adult students I have. And part of it too is, they're not trying to become a working musician. They're playing drums for fun and they're just jamming in their garage or their living room or wherever their drums are. And they just want to put on headphones and play. But still, from a teacher perspective, you want them to develop a skill set so that they can really, really enjoy what they're doing. And, there's a lot of times where people show up and they haven't practiced or whatever it was. And then they kind of start unloading their problems on you, which I'm fine with. But it's like, I had to do this, and I had to do this for this person, do this for this person, do this for this person, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, can you not carve out even 30 minutes one time throughout the entire week that you can just sit down and enjoy playing the drums? Like, yes, you can. I'm a grown adult too. And, you can always make time for stuff. You can always make time for stuff. It's not impossible. So put your oxygen mask on first and then assist others. Make sure that you're taken care of. So that would be leaving the world of the grind and doing your work, and then saying, okay, I got to have a little me time, even if it's for 5 minutes. People who don't take care of themselves, like, here's kind of a list of things that was associated with burnout, is that you start withdrawing from people. You feel empty inside. You get depressed, exhaustion. You don't see the results that you want. And then a lot of times people will just give up on whatever their hope was. Instead of, there's hope and goals, right? Well, I hope to do this. Well, can you make a goal of doing that? I think just like changing your perspective can make a big difference on what you're doing. So put your oxygen mask on first, schedule time for yourself, take breaks. I talk to the producer about this sometimes, because she'll get in the control room and she'll be working on a mix and working and without realizing it, how many hours go by. And you're in a room that has no windows, so you can't really even tell what time of day it is because you don't see the sun. And I've told her too, get up, walk out of this room, take a break for a moment, give your ears a rest. But we feel like, oh, there's this thing I got to get it done. I got to get it done. I got to go. Many of you know I own my own landscaping business for nearly 20 years or so in there. And if I was working by myself, I would never take a break really, ever. And even for lunch, a lot of times I would just eat lunch while I was sitting in my pickup, whether I brought my lunch or I was like through a drive-through or something. A lot of gas station food. And then I would just work these stupid long hours, 12, 14 hours, sometimes longer, depending on what was happening. And then that would spill over into a Saturday. And it was just this relentless feeling of a little bit feeling hopeless, because I never felt like I could get out of that situation. I just, I had a deadline to get projects done because I would have another project to get started on. And even with employees, that was another headache too. But it's just like never carving out time for myself, never taking a break. And that just, I started the landscape business really enthusiastic. And then a few years into it, I just felt like I was trapped and never going to leave that situation. I didn't think music was possible. And that's a discussion I've had many times over the years of deciding to make a complete life change. I'm going to leave that world behind, and I'm going to go into the world that I've loved for since I was 10 years old, and like fully commit to that. And I had to have a plan and work the plan, which is my next in the positive column, was have a plan. Have a plan. Then what? Work your plan. Work that plan. Work it. And, that's where a lot of times people will say, well, that's the grind. Okay, here's a nice comment from the producer. Our friend Jarek Hallett had just posted about what you do in the downtime, the in-between times. Mrs. F, can you expand on that a little bit more if you are listening? Jared is also a full-time musician, drummer, percussionist. He plays other instruments as well. Super talented and a good friend. So I know that he's been on this several month trip all over the United States doing whatever he's doing. Having downtime, though, I think is important. Having downtime, taking care of yourself. Taking care of yourself. And then celebrate your victories, big or small. We've kind of lost being... Sometimes when I have a certain frequency in my voice, I'm just laughing. Like, little side note is this backdrop that I have here is hanging in front of my drums. And sometimes when I talk at a certain frequency, I hear them resonate. I don't think that you could hear it through the microphone, but I definitely hear it here in the room. It makes me laugh. So yeah, Mrs. F, if you can expand off of maybe what Jared was saying a little bit, that would be great. Anybody want to weigh in here about their struggles sometimes? Like, what do you do that you become really burnt out? Oh, Mary says that for Jared at the time he was at the Joshua Tree National Park. So that was what he was doing in his downtime was visiting that national park. Joshua Tree National Park. All right, here we go. Gary Tackett says, I'll show everybody. He said, after playing 3 to 4 shifts a day and touring out of Nashville, playing working man's blues 20 times a week, I was beyond burnt out. When you're just playing for the money, it sucks. The love for music for your soul, playing with those that still have a passion for it, can heal the wounds. Amen. I'm a big fan of having that deep love and getting paid. So, Gary, is that so? I want you to remember this because Gary's going to be here live sitting next to me next week. But is that you have to remind me, it's been so long since I've been to Nashville. But don't these musicians go to I don't think it's Music Row. Music Row, I think, is where all the studios are. But where these musicians go, and I don't know, it's probably tied to the musicians union, I'm sure, in some way. But you're working. But you're working with your instrument and you're just playing and 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 playing. I've heard a lot of Nashville Lower Broad Street. Is that correct? I'm not sure if I've actually been there. I've been to Music Row a few times. But yeah, we're gonna have some deep conversation with Mr. Gary Tackett next week. That'll be cool. So here's a situational thing that I had yesterday while I was teaching, and this happens every once in a while. My schedule has become pretty packed with students. I currently have 46 students. Now I'm going to have a few of them this is their last month until fall, but I also have a few coming back for the summer. So I think it's going to stay pretty balanced through the summer months. So there's always there's a constant scheduling deal that happens every week. Now, it's not a free-for-all scheduling situation I have with my students. Everybody's scheduled. It's their day, their time every week is their day and time. But there's always 8 to 10 that are making requests to move a lesson or to make some other arrangements. And then every once in a while, I come along with something that comes up and I'm like, okay, now I need to move a full day of students around. So that was what was happening yesterday for me with my Monday students. My son, Ian, is about to graduate high school. Excuse me. And his graduation is on May 19th. Yes, I see it on my calendar. So I'm moving all of those students to other days and times because the following week is Memorial Weekend, and so we're not doing any lessons then. And then while all this was happening and trying to teach, I had the midline guys. We have a text group with that, and we needed some last minute things taken care of for the show we're playing on Friday at the Knitting Factory. And depending on who the production manager might be that day or who's running sound, you got to send over your stage plot and input list. If you don't know what that is, you need to know. You need to figure that out. But a stage plot basically is a map, like a bird's eye view of the stage and where all the instruments are going and the how they're arranged. And then your input list is your microphone input list, starting with 1 through whatever. And if you don't know how to do those, don't guess. Talk to an actual real life professional front of house engineer to show you how to put those together properly. You don't want to be laughed at, okay? That's a little side note. So that had to be sent over, and I guess now they can project your logo and other things up on a screen while you're playing. So I had to get them that information. And it was like, who has this? I have the stage plot and input list, and James has the logos and things like that. And it was like suddenly they need it now situation. So I'm trying to teach, reschedule, take care of the midline stuff. I was messaging with Gary about the show on the 17th, and there was just a lot that was to manage it through it. And at one point I was just like, ah! One of my students, I told her, I said, can you give me a timeout for just a moment? I got to make a couple phone calls. And so I just went and did that really quick. I was like, okay, I got to get this stuff cleared and out of the way. But it wasn't a burnout situation. So going back to Gary's talking about the working musician thing in Nashville. He says, yes, you start at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then you play from 2 to 6 and then 6 to 10 and then 10 to 2. Yeah, I've heard other Nashville musicians talk about this situation there, and it's a go, and it's really long hours. But Gary, I want to get in this conversation next week, but I'm pretty sure that you told me that you could see some pretty well-known musicians who are participating in that, and even the ones that aren't really well-known are pretty A-list type players. There's no slouches. There's no mediocrity in any of that. All right, let's see what the producer says. She says, remember when we were kids, we'd have summer break and it was awesome. But by the end of the break, we were ready to go back to school and see our friends and move on to the next grade and do new things. Yeah, I remember that. I remember having that feeling too. And our kids are experiencing that as well. Well, one, Ian's graduating, but he's going to graduate and immediately be gone for the whole summer for drum corps, playing contra tuba with the battalion. And Jude is in 6th grade, so he's looking forward to summer break. But yeah, just like Mary said, you go through your summer break and you're doing stuff, and then you you kind of miss your friends in that routine of that, and you get excited to go back to school. You know, most people, they get new clothes or shoes or whatever heading back to school, and that's a little bit of exciting time, and you meet your new teachers and so on. And then as you make your way through the school year, it's like, oh, Christmas break, and you need that little break in there, and then you have that stretch till summer. Mary says we need breaks so we can get recharged and refocused. Yeah. Now for me, I like to go on vacation, which we never do. Never seem to go on vacation like a real vacation, but any like short trips and stuff that we take, there's other things associated with it. And so it feels like you're not really on vacation. You're really not taking a break. You're just doing more work somewhere else. So I play with Cliff Miller quite a bit over the years, and sometimes we do these weekends where we're gone out of town, and the cool thing is as of late, Cliff will get like an Airbnb, like a house to stay in, and which is really, really comfortable. But when we have a day where there's not much going on, because you don't work until night, is I'll take naps. I'm like, find myself in a situation where I don't have to be anywhere. I don't have things looming over me, and I'll go just lay down and sleep. And I need that. I really do need those moments. I feel like I go through nap phases. Is if I see an opportunity to try to take a nap for a little bit, I'll try to do that. But then I'm just so busy all the time that those opportunities, but it seems like it kind of goes through phases of like, I'll nap a lot and then not nap for a long time. I think Mary wishes she could nap. I don't think Mary has slept since our first child was born 23 years ago. Mary hasn't slept in 23 years. So, yeah. So needing those breaks, I think, is really important. Let's see if I'm missing anything. I don't really think so. Now that I'm a full-time drummer, I think James had mentioned this earlier. Let me just see if I can find his comment here real quick. The chores or tasks in life will be there no matter what your attitude towards them makes. But your attitude towards them makes a big difference. Yeah. So James said, I'm going to repost that here. James had said the chores or tasks in life will be there no matter what, but your attitude towards them makes the biggest difference. Yeah. So this room that I'm doing the show from is a multi-purpose room. I have band rehearsals in here. We do recording in here, and I teach in here. But when I teach in here, I have 3 drum sets put together in here. You're like, holy crap, 3 drum sets in that room. Yes. So the other 2 drum sets are in and out and in and out and in and out and in and out. Sometimes several times in a day, depending on what we're doing. And I remember about a year or 2 ago, I was on the phone with a friend, and he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm moving these drum sets in and out of this room." It's just like, And then I stopped myself while I felt like I was starting to complain about that situation. And I said, "Listen to me." I don't know what to do with my hands today. I said, "Listen to me." I was about to complain about having to move drums around. I'm like, I am doing what I love. I am surrounded by drums, and music. Like, everything in my life is all music, about music, which just goes to show you, like, even though you're doing this thing that you really, really love, there's moments where it's like, I have to do this. That's where that kind of feels like that grind thing happens. But I changed my attitude in that moment of like, I get to move these drums in and out of this room because I'm going to do this really cool thing with them in here, and I'm going to do this really cool thing with them not in here. And so, yeah, just your attitude towards whatever it is that you're doing makes a big difference in how you're focused about it. And the producer is here. She's in the other room. So there's a delay, which I can barely hear, but it's kind of funny. I think that's it. I think that's it for the burnout thing. That's was a subject that was suggested to me that I had forgot about, and just wanted to talk a little bit about that today. These Drummergy mugs, we're hoping to have them available for purchase in the near future. So these are the test runs of them. Let's see if I can give you a closer view. Look at that thing. It's beautiful. Beautiful, I say. Beautiful, I say. Just like a test question, is anybody be interested in those? If not, that's okay. If so, great. I just kind of get like a feel for what people may or may not like. That would be cool. All right, so a little bit shorter show today. That's totally cool because we got stuff to do. Mary's going to be working on some music video stuff for Ken Harris. If you know Ken Harris here in Boise, Ken will be on his way over. And I've got songs to learn for the Eric Clapton tribute show with Gary Tackett called Crossroads. That's going to be a Blue Flashes says he'll take 2. All right, so Blue Flashes, I'm gonna mark you down as interested in that so that we can kind of get a feel for how we want to do this. Blue Flashes. 2, he says. All right. Because we have no clue at the moment, like what the cost would be to get those and get them engraved and so on and so forth. So I appreciate that a lot. Next week, Gary Tackett will be here. That's going to be a fun hang, and we'll get to know more about his experience on playing Lower Broad. Tejano Outlaw here. That's Anthony. Always enjoy your show, Fred. Definitely feeling like I'm burned out after a busy Cinco de Mayo weekend. Yeah, you guys were. How many shows, Anthony, did you play this past weekend? It seemed like I saw a lot of different posts with you doing that. I'll wait. Mark Grubert says, one thing that always helps me not burn out is to play music, not just perform. Try to keep it fun. Let's post that for people to read Mark Grubert's comment here. Yeah, one thing that helps me not burn out is to play music, not just perform. Try to keep it fun. Yeah, and Mark is great on, if you guys don't know Mark, you're missing out. What a great person just to be friends with, but even the opportunity to play music with and travel with and perform on stage and share conversation is it's a wonderful thing. So if you don't know Mark, you gotta get in with the Mark Grubert connection. Okay, so let's see. Anthony says Saturday night at Big Al's and last night at Indian Creek Plaza. Nice. Cinco de Mayo is a good reason to get out there. Gary says, we've all been given the gift of music. It's a gift. It's meant to be shared. Sometimes we get selfish and forget that we create not just for ourselves, but for those that don't necessarily have the ability to play an instrument, but really appreciate our gifts that feed their souls. Yeah, Gary, that's a really great comment. That connection that we all have with music, regardless if we're musicians or not. And I think when you play really well and you are having fun, like Mark said, people will see that and appreciate all of that. Mary is asking, what does everyone else do to avoid or recover from burnout? Oh, that's a great question. She says, I get burned out from cooking dinner. James says, assuming Gary meant Lower Broadway in Nashville. Gary, I'm sure we have lots of common friends. I bet you do, James. I bet you do. James, if you're not friends with Gary, you send him a friend request or vice versa. Yeah. It's funny that Mary says I get burned out from cooking dinner, and I get that. We, Mary and I are both, I don't know why I keep crossing my arms today. Maybe I'll just leave them crossed. Mary and I are both really busy people, very, very busy. And our kids are very, very busy. And so we're just like in this whirlwind, nonstop tornado of things to do. And then it comes along in the evening, and we suddenly are realizing, like, oh, we should probably eat. What are we going to do about it? And then we're all looking at each other to come up with a suggestion on what we should do. And a lot of times, of course, that falls on Mary. And there's just days it's like, I just don't want to do it. the other day I had worked so hard in the yard, and it all of that activity takes a toll, really wears me out. This leg break recovery is going on way longer than I anticipated it would be. And but I'm getting there, but I get really worn out when I'm out doing stuff. I was laying on the couch and just totally exhausted. And I said, I wish I had General's chicken and rice, like, just suddenly appear in my hands. I don't want to even move. And so we got up and went to get Chinese food. But last night, Mary made shredded chicken tacos, celebrating Cinco de Mayo in our own little way. And it was great. Very good. Very good. Did I miss somebody here? Let me check. I don't think that I missed anybody. I really do love what Mark Grubert and what Gary Tackett said. Mark, again, said that one thing that always helps him not burn out is to play music. Like, remember that you're having fun and to keep it fun. Have you ever noticed, like, certain people are in your life and they just seem happy all the time? And even when bad stuff or things you got to navigate become a little tricky, just their approach to it makes a big difference in how things get resolved and taken care of. I don't know why, but it seemed like we were plagued with car problems for so long. It was just like our cars kept breaking down. And it just seems like once you get one thing fixed and something else would break. And that was kind of our life is in the landscape business, is dealing with work trucks that get treated pretty rough because of the job that's demanded on them. And, sometimes that stuff would break down in the most inconvenient place or time. I don't think there's ever a good time for anything to break down, but there is some places that are more convenient than others. So does it involve a tow truck or not? But I had a couple moments where this is when I had employees, one of the trucks broke down, and they called me and said, hey, it's puking antifreeze everywhere or whatever. And they were stuck. So I had to stop what I was doing on a job site and go take a look and pop the hood and assess what's going on. And turns out it just needed a new hose put on it and a couple gallons of antifreeze. And so I was like, okay, this is something we can fix. And I didn't get mad at the employees. It wasn't their fault, so I can't, like, you guys are driving this truck wrong or anything like that. They weren't being abusive. It just had a hose break. So when I got there, one of them said, I can't believe you're not mad or freaking out. And I said, well, I could get mad and freak out, but the problem's still going to be the same. It's not going to change whatsoever. This problem still exists. It's right here in front of us. I said, the best thing to do is we'll just fix it. And they kind of went, oh, okay. Now, I can't say that I've always responded that way when something's broken down. I'm like, frickin'. I'll have my little tantrum and then I'll go fix it. So, yeah, situational things, or the situation is going to be there no matter what. So how we decide to look at that and respond, I think really changes how we're going to deal with those issues. So I'm currently faced with a not a huge problem, but I committed to doing a show with somebody, and I didn't do my part and write it down, and then neither did they. And then another situation came along, and I looked at that date, and I said, "Oh yeah, I could do that show." And turns out I double booked myself, so now I got to navigate that a little bit and try to make sure both parties are happy and understanding. So, but I'm not gonna freak out and start pointing fingers of who should have been more clear on what was happening. I think there was some balls dropped on both sides, so we'll figure that out. Anything else, Mrs. Producer? We're good? Mary says, "Hey, summer break's coming up. Do you have vacations you're looking forward to? Where are you going to go?" We'll ask that question real quick, right? She says, "Yeah." She gave me the thumb. She gave me the nod. The nod means the thumbs up. Usually when Mary's giving me the finger, it's not the thumb. What'd you say? Now she's giving me the look. Oh, who laughs as much at 8 a.m.? We do. Yes, she laughs because she can't believe that she committed her life to me. I love you, babe. I really love you. You want to spend the rest of your life with me and be miserable? Oh, yes, I would love that. No, we have a pretty good life. Okay. I think that's it. I think it's good. Like I said, next week, Mr. Gary Tackett will be here, and we're going to learn more about Gary and his career and what he's doing now. And now, which is going to be including me to a degree. So that's going to be super cool. Yeah, good stuff. Thanks for joining us, guys and gals. Appreciate it. Go out and do your work, but make sure you have a plan so that you can have some traction and you can move forward and things are as going well for you. And try to I just keep going back to James Harrison's comment about, we all have these challenges and things we have to navigate and deal with, but how we approach those and our attitude behind them will make a big difference in the outcome and how we're going to deal with those things. And I just remember the one thing I got to deal with is getting the whole family back on track with the chores. Are you cheering about the chores deal? She's cheering about the chores deal. Yeah, we got to make that happen because it can't just all fall on one person all the time to keep the house clean, right? We've got 6 people living here. It should look like a museum all the time, but it doesn't. So Mary has a good comment. She says, yes, have a play. I think she meant plan. Have a plan. Consider it your GPS roadmap to where you want to go. It helps with burnout. Excellent. I'm going to post that real quick so those who are watching can see this. Yeah, instead of play, she meant plan. She put a little asterisk extra comment on that. But yeah, definitely. And I think that's true with how my life is now and my musical pursuits. It's getting things established, then saying, well, what's the next step in this process, and making a plan to take care of that and to move forward and do it. So yeah, excellent advice from the producer there. All right, I'm going to go for reals this time. Thanks for joining me. Love it. And my YouTube channel, Fred Rock Fisher, the Drummergy Podcast. If you go on YouTube, you can, even if you just search Drummergy, I pop up now like immediately. And if you go to my page and go to podcasts, you can see all the old stuff popping up and check that out. Please like and subscribe. I know it seems a little disingenuous to ask that, but it really does help. Any of you out there who have YouTube pages that are tied to your careers, understand the value of that, having people like and subscribe to your channel. And it takes less than a second to do it. Gary says, great show, Fred. Thanks, Gary. I look forward to hanging with you. I'm going to see you tomorrow night for rehearsal. And I'm going to see you a lot here coming up shortly. This will be cool. This will be awesome. All right, guys, thanks a lot. Have a great day. And if you are interested in, I'm asking about interest. So far, Blue Flashes has responded and said 2. So, of the Drummergy coffee mugs or coffee. Is this a coffee mug or a coffee? What is this? A tumbler? I thought the tumbler had the little thing inside that rattles around. I don't know. I don't know the right. This thing. A tumbler? Okay. So there you go. Folks, have an awesome, awesome, awesome day. And I'll see you here next week with Gary Tackett. Okay. Bye.